He is trying a lot of short balls.
He was looking. Chandamal was looking for the hook, which he very top edgy, but I think he knew there was not a man there. Rashid had been at long leg, but he was unable to get back to a very, very fine leg, which is where the ball ended up. And although he dived, it was a bit of a token effort, I think. In the end, in comes Stokes, right arm over onto the back foot goes Chandamal, pushes this away to mid-wicket. There is no run. 208 for 2. We're about halfway through the... Well, it's Ben Stokes' third over. It's the 33rd over of the game. And I'm sure, Taz, Sri Lanka will be conscious of their ability to rather collapse like a pack of cards and trying to keep these two for a while. England definitely playing with a smile on their face, even though they haven't had some of the success today they've had in other games.
Yeah, I'm not sure Sri Lanka have the finishing capacity that...
Stokes again, sorry Taz.
That's
and
okay.
this is just onto his back foot, pushed away to mid-on, and just a single.
That other teams might have, finding themselves in a similar position with 209 from almost 33 overs.
Yep.
And I think England are probably well aware of that they're always just another wicket away from changing something.
And the decision to bat rather than bowl, do you think that is acknowledging the fact that the rains will come at some point and it's better to have the runs on the board?
Probably.
Possibly. I mean, the clouds are building at the moment. They keep showing them.
But I guess one...
They are indeed. In comes Stokes. Oh, he's going for the slower ball. Ended up being as a loopy full toss, and it's just clipped over long on for 6. Terrific shot. Shocking ball though.
I think that might have slipped out of his hand.
I think it slipped out of his hand. Probably. Well, it's very humid conditions in Colombo, and yeah, you could see on the replay. And I think Chandamal, just a look of complete anguish on, if there was a wall to punch or even a person maybe, or just anything. He really...
Yeah, stay away from him.
It really wasn't, what he had in mind. He's in again. That's a better ball, and it beats the outside edge of Kusal Mendes. It wasn't Chandamal, it was Mendes. Mendes was drawn into the stroke, and maybe just a hint of away movement, and... that's a good comeback, a very good comeback indeed from
And there's
Ben Stokes.
a car on the field. Surely the umpires are going to clamp down on that kind of thing.
Well, it's...
yeah,
were we lapsing into Alan Partridge there?
Yes.
I thought we might have been just a wee bit.
I got told off for walking around the pitch at Malahide in heels, but these guys are allowed to have a car on. Not these heels, they were better heels.
Oh, okay. No, those heels are... Yeah. I don't think
those were much more serious heels.
May I suggest that going to in any sporting event really, that heels aren't the thing to wear though.
Well, this is the thing. If you can run in heels,
but then again, I'm not a woman.
If you can, I can keep in heels. So
me and my mate years and years ago missed out big time because we were trying to think that we should open shops selling just women's shoes and handbags.
Oh, right.
Because there is something in women's psyche about those damn things that men just don't understand.
Well, we like them.
Very true.
I know, but
we like them a lot.
You like them a lot. That is yes.
Do you think Johnny Bairstow was wearing something like those when he was playing football?
That's
wouldn't
what
be
happened
surprised.
to the ankle.
It was down to his wife at the time who had them. I went into the bedroom and just saw the collection of handbags and shoes and just sort of went. He goes, most of those have never been worn.
Yeah, but it's like a display item sometimes.
Well, it's
guys
in
and comic book figurines.
Oh no! Look,
hang on a moment. I don't think I've got a single comic book figurine at home.
I have loads.
Well, hang on, then don't say it's guys. Where did that suddenly come from?
Men can sort of match. Yeah, I agree. But it's just the handbags and they're so expensive. That's the other thing. We were sort of thinking, should we do this? Should we do this? We're going to make a lot of money, aren't we? Yeah, we never did. And
really?
we do regret it.
It's not the most original idea to
but at the time
selling bags and handbags. I think there's a few.
No, just in the same shop though.
Ooh, one
Prada
place for all
like.
my needs.
One place, just handbags and shoes, and high end.
Throw in highlighter. Not highlighters, the pens.
I was going to say
the makeup
yellow
item, and that's it. You've got women covered.
Yeah.
In case you wonder why we're having this rather left of field handbag oriented conversation,
it's gorilla handbag.
There is a drinks break at the Ranasinghe Premadas Stadium in Colombo.
The game has been brought to a halt because there's a car on the field.
And we're just watching we could talk a little bit, I think, Taz, about that extraordinary you know, I was paying full attention in the green room. I hadn't sort of wandered off and just decided to have a little kip. And even I didn't spot it was out. But how did the actual wicketkeeper, who was literally right behind the stumps, not see it hit the stump? That's
so he asked for a review,
No,
but he didn't celebrate.
I don't think. Did we ask for a review?
Yeah, he did. He signalled to the TV umpire.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I would have seen that.
Well, yeah, I've seen you wicket keep. Electric behind the stump. Seriously, electric.
I do cartwheels and handstands to warm up.
Yeah, you were fabulous on
I think
the
that's what
Dan Lucas game this year. You
just
were
needs
quite
a little bit
magnificent
of.
behind the stumps.
Back to speaking of keeping, back to Jane's point about Surfraz and his keeping. You know what's remarkable about him? He does this thing where he keeps so terribly. You think, why is he there? And then he'll pull off something that I think better keepers like Joss couldn't pull off.
Well, I don't. It's not his wicket keeping. I think I have a problem with Sarfraz Ahmed. I think certainly from what we saw very much at first hand and in games we've covered since, sometimes his captaincy is a little bit ploddy and pedestrian. He can let stuff drift in the field. I always feel
it's hard to follow up on a misbah. I know people are very much love him or hate him.
Well,
but
yeah,
it's very hard to what Misbah did and what he achieved at a very difficult time for Pakistan cricket. I think it's hard to argue against that.
Does hate?
I think he
Yeah,
endeared
weird,
himself.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm surprised in a way. He's endeared himself to a lot of people with his push-ups, didn't he?
He did.
He'll
Last
forever be
test.
associated with these. It's going to be Sam Curran again, the man who reminds us of Chucky, the
Yeah, he does.
the puppet, especially when he's looking a bit angry and he's got a cap on.
That is a brilliant spot.
And that's when he really looks like him, when he's in his run-up. His left arm around the wicket. This is up and over point, and it's going to go all the way. What a terrific shot by Chandimal. 4 runs. Oh, that was a super shot. A super shot. Knew exactly what he was doing. Just waited for the ball onto the bat, lifted it over point. And Curran obviously doesn't quite have this, probably the pace to drop the ball that short, I suspect. And if he was thinking about looking for the slower ball bouncer, that wasn't what he did either. This one is worked away to mid-wicket from Chandimal. They will take 1. In fact, they'll come back for 2. So they're doing a very fine job, I think, of keeping the scoreboard ticking over here.
Yeah.
Mendes on 21, Chandimal a dead even run a ball 40 off 40, 221 for 2.
Chandimal's appeared on 40 without me really sort of noticing him.
It's a
How
bit
he
of
got there.
a Joe Root style innings, isn't it? He's got himself there by stealth. This one is tossed up a bit wide of off stump. Chandimal just leans into what you'd hope to be a cover drive. Joe Root did the fielding in the covers, but I think he took it on the wrist.
I wouldn't have wanted to go for that ball. He hammered that.
He did hammer it.
Saved
and
a boundary.
Root, I think, is going straight off. This is not a good sign. He's holding his whole hand. It looked like it was the wrist, or maybe just that particularly painful
awkward bone.
bit. Yeah, the awkward bone, as you rightly
that's
say.
my medical opinion. Christ the choir, wicket keeping in heels sounds like repeated slut drops, no aspersions cast.
You do it as well. He's Chris the Choir. But
Oh, is it Chris?
I always read it as everybody. We all read it as Christ the Choir.
Oh, it is,
Yeah.
yeah, Chris the choir. Well, this is the thing, wicket keeping and slut drops are basically the exact same skill.
He did cream that, didn't he? Goodness me. And Joe Root, I mean, all power to him for diving away to his right to get a very full hand on it, but it's come at some cost. Sam Curran is in again. Again, he gives himself that width so he can really dig that into the hips of Kusal Mendes.
Excuse my ignorance. What's a slut drop?
How can you be from Essex and
I
not know
know.
what a slut drop is?
I've got a bit.
It's when you're dancing and you literally get down and back up again.
It's called a slut drop.
It's called a slut drop.
Oh, okay.
It's called a slut drop. It's
When you
just,
say you get down and back up again, in what is in like
well, I mean,
the splits or just a
no, I'll show you in the innings break. Basically, it's just
Okay.
squatting. It's literally just dropping
squatting.
into a quick squat and then pushing back up again without missing
like
a
going
beat.
to the loo?
Exactly
Only
like
on
that.
the dance floor.
Only on the dance floor.
Fabulous.
Yep.
Well, I can't wait to see the demonstration that you've now promised me. And
You missed the ball there.
we are, of course, on YouTube. Sorry, I was so taken by that thought. That
Slut
not
drop.
only was it a
Slut
drop, Well, not only was it a missed ball, it was a single as well, so I do beg your pardon.
Just hit straight down the ground.
It was. Thank you for that,
Nothing exciting.
Slut drops are not going to distract me anymore. In comes Curran. This is pushed away to mid-on again. It's a easily, comfortably taken single from Chandimal.
There is...
he'll keep the strike, actually, because it was the end of that Curran over. None for 39 off 5. Curran 224 for 2 Sri Lanka.
Although born and bred and still living in Essex, there's something about me which is kind of unique to Essex men.
What is that?
I've never been to a nightclub there.
You've never been to a nightclub in Essex?
I'm not a kind of nightclub kind of disco guy.
Well, I mean...
And I never went as a teenager. It was not my thing.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me. You don't strike me. You don't strike me as.
I was in a Hackney pub last night in the basement watching a rock band. You know,
exactly.
That's my thing. That's
exactly.
my thing.
I understand. That's very much
at
your
56. You know, so you know. We were the oldest there by a long way, me and my mate.
Oh, I go to gigs these days, and I often look around, and I think, you know,
he whispered,
I could be the grandparents of some of these guys.
He whispered in my ear, "You know, we're the oldest people here." I said, "Yeah, so fucking what?"
So that's how I feel when I go to clubs. So thanks for putting that in perspective for me, guys.
224 for 2.
I can't stop.
Ben Stokes is going to take up the attack once more. He's going to bowl his 4th over. He's going to be bowling the first ball to Chandimal, who kept the strike. Chandimal rocks onto the back foot, pushes this away to backward point. And in fact, the throw hits the stumps and bounces away again, and they can turn 1 into 2. And Stokes was ticking a little bit earlier on when he let a ball slip out of his hand, bowled a horrible full toss that got slapped away. And I think it was Jason Roy. Jason Roy threw, hit the stumps, but then it wasn't even a question of no one backing up because it careered off in a completely different direction.
Jason Roy acts like it's the sort of final of the World Cup and he's just cost England the trophy. You know?
Indeed.
Come on, man.
So Kusal Mendis on strike. Actually, they only took a single, I think. 225 for 2. Stokes into Mendis. He skips onto the back foot, dabs it down to third man, and one of the Currans, which I think in that case was Tom, who's a little bit less Chucky-like than Sam, completes the fielding. They take another single. It'll bring Chandimal back onto strike. He's got a 50 in his sights. He's ticking along nicely indeed at a runnable 43. Mendis on 23 from 28. Although the run rate just under 7, but they've got wickets in the hutch, as they will soon be moving into the last 15 overs, Nestle.
I was going to say the 18-year-old lead singer last night did look at me strangely when I was chatting to her after the gig, as if to say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Perhaps you thought you were an undercover policeman or something. In comes Stokes. This is short and wide and driven by Chandimal. There is a man at deep extra cover. It's Mark Wood, so they will restrict them to 2.
Good running.
A, it was very well run. B, it was very beautifully struck.
What was Stokes angry about there?
Stokes is just always angry.
I mean, the fielder got the ball. He threw it into him, and he's steaming. What's wrong?
Well, Wood, I think,
gets
gathered very
in.
nicely indeed. It came into Stokes on the bounce. And what's he shouting?
I don't know.
We've got Dr. Katie Scott with a...
Stokes in again. On the back foot was Chandimal, who dabbed it down to point. They were looking for a single. Mendis it was who actually sent him back, and I think it was exactly the right call. Chandimal had taken 2 or 3 paces forward and was really looking for the single, but it absolutely wasn't there. So well done, Kusal Mendis.
Dr. Katie with a very important point. I feel the need to point out it's not all women and bags and shoes, and I'd be much more likely to be tempted in by highlighter pens than highlighter makeup. Stationery. And you know what? I have to say,
a stationery shop
always deserves its own shop. Oof. Always.
Well, that and a good hardware store.
Oh my God. Killing it.
Buck and Ryan. That's where my dad used to get all of his hardware stuff from London.
The smell.
In comes Stokes to Chandimal. Chandimal again. Whoa, they're thinking about they 3/4 of the way down. They take a single, but it was very much, oh, yes, no, maybe. And they stopped for a good second in the middle and ended up. Chandimal had to really run to make his ground. Mendis will be on strike, 23 off 18. 229 for 2 Sri Lanka. This has been the most expensive over by Stokes so far. He's gone for 2, 3, 4, 5 off it so far. Yeah, it was very much well.
Go on, you go. No,
Kusal was just a single. Kusal Mendis was just half asleep. He just didn't seem interested in running at all, did he? And Stokes, we're having a look at Stokes. I'm not sure if he's shouting at the world in general. He's shouting at the batsman. He's shouting at the fielder.
He's just screaming into the void.
He's just screaming into the void in a tirade of frustration and anger. Needs to take a chill pill. 229, I beg your pardon. 229 for 2 with the last ball of this over. This one, maybe predictably, has dropped slightly short. But Mendes plays it beautifully, actually. He leaps up and just pushes it away into the onside to square leg. Stokes is ticking like a time bomb.
He threw
He's
the ball
looking
in the ground.
really angry.
Calm down, man.
I think somebody needs to bring out a nice glass of orange juice and perhaps a digestive biscuit just to let him have a couple of quiet moments.
Oh, he may be injured.
Well, he could be.
He's probably injured himself by the way he's behaving.
Well, he went to... maybe that's what he's cross about. He went to field off his own bowling, threw the ball angrily into the ground. No one seemed to touch him. No one else was involved. And he has gone off. So I suspect he's felt a recurrence of a previous injury.
Or he's gone to punch someone.
No, I think that he felt something go, muscular body-wise. So Captain Owen Morgan, who had decided to rest himself and is now back out there, and he's already shouting and directing things. So
I was just about to say, does he sort of become de facto
well,
captain?
I was about to ask you and Taz a similar question. We'll just wait for Curran to come in, and Sam Curran it is, and on the back foot, Chandimal pushes into the offside. Yeah, does he de facto take over the captaincy role?
More philosophical. Is captaincy ever a single man's position?
Yes.
You think so?
I believe so. I believe you can certainly consult. You will have your trusted lieutenants. You will listen, but ultimately the buck stops in one place. Curran is in, and Mendes just beautifully rocks onto the back foot and hauls this away over square leg for 6. What a terrific shot.
Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6. Let's talk about 6.
Sam Curran, who's noticeably going wide of the off stump to try and get the ball to come in at the left-handers, but that one just maybe slightly shorter than he intended.
He just helped it on its way, really, didn't he?
Mendes was onto it like an absolute shot, and he just rocked around, used the momentum on the ball and hauled it away over square leg. This one's a better ball, though, and Mendes just has to dab this down just slightly backward a point this time. 236 for 2. Mendes is on 30 from 22. Chandimal chugging along nicely at 46 or 46. He seems to be in runnable mood. We are seeing Ben Stokes. Is he looking to come back again? He is. So whatever was making him angry, maybe he has gone off. Maybe he's got a punch bag or something in the dressing room. He's gone away to smack that a few times.
I don't know. Is he going to come on?
Well, if he was injured, he'd still be presumably in the dressing room. That's waited for nicely by Mendes and just dabbed down to third man. It's a pretty wild throw by Adil Rashid.
Good arm.
And his rather dodgy fly fishing arm.
Arthur
I don't
Shearer.
think it's that bad. I really don't think it's that bad, Nestler. So you've spotted something in his arm that's clearly rattled you, but yeah, we're looking at Stokes again. It's quite extraordinary. He fields off his own bowling. He does, of course, have a heavily strapped right arm, and he seemed to field and then just we'll let Curran. That one is a full toss from Curran, and again probably slipped out the hands a little bit as he looked for the fuller ball. And Mendes is able to push this away into the onside. They'll take a single, and Chandimal will come back onto strike. But as soon as he'd fielded it, Stokes threw the ball angrily into the ground, and like something had really, really got to him.
Life.
You
can't go through that life like that.
Arthur Shearer with a tweet about Ben Stokes.
Oh, right.
Ben Stokes injuring himself in an angry incident in which he's the only participant is the most Ben Stokes thing that could happen.
In comes Curran to Mendes. This time it's pushed away into the offside, single taken, and it's the end of the over. Yes. So Taz, how are we doing? Tweets wise.
Angly Sai, I'm so glad you explained what a slut drop was. I was reluctant to Google anything with the word slut in it at work.
I think that's probably wise.
Don't ever do that at work.
Don't. Well, by default, they're almost suggesting that
Well, do it.
Just do it anywhere else. Yeah. I'd never. It's a phrase. I've got to be honest. It's a phrase I was unaware of.
Yeah, me too.
Drop.
Yeah.
I've heard of like a dolly drop or a dew drop. Or
Please go home tonight and ask your 2 sons what a slut drop is.
They will definitely know. They will know.
And will be really upset that their dad is asking them that.
Dad, who have you spent the day with?
I'm not too sure whether how upset my 2 would be, actually. They'd
Probably just raise their eyebrows.
I suspect they might be curious as to why I'm asking, apropos of absolutely nothing over the dinner table. So they go, oh, by the way,
Boys.
chaps, I'm curious to know. I think we're going to see a change of bowling. It's going to be Liam Plunkett, number 28 off 3, and he's going to be taking up the attack.
You want to Plunkett?
Plunkett.
Ben Stokes. Actually, no, I'm completely led you completely astray there. Well, we saw Plunkett, and then Stokes was walking towards him, so I thought Stokes was going to give him the benefit of some advice.
Or punch him.
But actually, no, Stokes is continuing. His right arm over, and that one is swung away into the onside by Kusal Mendes. It will go down to the deep mid-wicket boundary.
Ooh.
And that one bounces over Stokes' head on the
Hit the bat.
Tom Curran. And I'm not entirely sure Stokes will be very happy about that either, seeing as he does seem to be in a bit of the world against me mood at the moment. It's a pretty decent ball, actually. It just kept quite low. And it was, as I say, swung away into the onside. Sri Lanka bench with the very full-figured and curly-topped.
There's a few highlights going on there on both players.
There are indeed. Stokes is in again. That one's down leg, but it's swung onto again by Mendes. Once again, it goes down to Curran at the deep mid-wicket boundary. Once again, they'll take a single. So number 22, Ben Stokes. He's in his 5th over. Chandimal is on 46 or 47. So his perfectly timed runner ball innings has just got ever so slightly, and we're looking at a
swarm of herons.
Swarm. I think
or
this
the
would be a flock.
pelicans.
I think a flock. I think they're pelicans, aren't they?
They are pelicans.
Look at the beaks.
Marvellous creatures.
Chandimal will face. He's going to face the ticking Ben Stokes. Right arm over, looking to cut that away, but it goes to cover. A curious bird is the pelican.
There's a pond.
Its beak can hold more than its belly can.
There's a pond near where I wait for the bus to go to the tube station, and there's sometimes a heron by the pond, and it's a magnificent thing. It's massive.
They are beautiful birds, herons.
Scared the life out of me one day when it took off. I didn't know it was there.
Yeah, they do a lot of standing around, but when they do burst into life, it's quite a flurry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stokes is going to be in again to Chandimal, and he drops this one short and wide a leg stump, and Butler actually does a phenomenal piece of fielding, but it has to be wide, and indeed is duly signalled as such. It was a horrible ball.
Des with my favourite tweet of the day. I'm not saying that Ben Stokes is exactly like OJ Simpson, but you wouldn't want to give his wife a lift home.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's a angry man at the moment. He does certainly feel that things are not quite going the way he wants them to be going. Indeed, not going that well, particularly for England at the moment. 241 for 2 Sri Lanka. This one again is on leg stump, and again it's hauled away, and the man at deep mid-wicket is not going to get there, and it's 4 more. Super shot by Chandimal, mind you, and it brings up his 50. So well done, Chandimal. He's 50 off 49. He's edged ahead of his runner ball, and he that one did stray onto leg stump, and he was quick as you like to whip it away into the onside. And Curran, who was at mid-wicket, was not that far away from it, but he really had no chance of getting there.
Put up quite a tasty score, Sri Lanka here.
Yeah, I think they're looking in good order. In comes Stokes again, quite similar. This one's slightly fuller and hurries Chandimal up a bit, and
look,
goes down to long leg where Adil Rashid and his dodgy, strange arm action that Nestlers loves to imitate.
I don't know. It's
Stokes has his hands on his head. He's generally cursing the world and his wife in general. But nonetheless, yes. So Taz, given where we stand at the moment, what's your feeling for a good total here?
360 seems easily on the cards.
Well, I think you're probably right. So 36, we got what, just another 14 or so overs. 2 wickets only down. Yeah, I think that's very achievable. And this is lofted. Has he got all of it? Straight back down the ground. Has he got all of it? Yes, and a bit more. 6 more. Goodness me.
The number of the day really hops and kicks. The number of the day is 6.
He absolutely launched into that, straight back over Ben Stokes' head. And well, if Ben Stokes was feeling that the world is not quite with him, and everything's not going quite right, and it's always someone else's fault rather than his, he probably wants to have a look at that ball, because it wasn't the best he's bowled, but it was beautifully launched away by Mendes, and he gets a tap on the head from his batting partner Chandimal.
If I was Mendes, I'd keep away from Ben Stokes for the next.
If I was
5
anybody,
minutes.
anybody at all, I'd keep away from Ben Stokes, who's kicking the turf as he wanders back to his fielding position. Yeah, so not too happy. So Butler, who clearly I think is still keen. Maybe Morgan came on and kind of forgot himself, because the first thing he did was bark some instructions and do a bit of pointing, and he probably got halfway through that and remembered, oh, hang on, I'm not actually the captain here, am I?
Butler went, oi, oi, oi,
It was
oi,
he was looking for the Yorker, was Ben Stokes, but it's what I like to call a golf shot. It was completely full swing, back over his head. And we're going to see another Curran for Curran replacement, because Sam is now going to be replacing Tom. 252 for 2. Sri Lanka. Mendes going, well, he's been galloping along. He's got 40 off 27. Chandimal, as we said, on 51. Tom Curran it is.
Oh, we got the. I'll play it after this ball.
You can do that. All angular arm action and elbows, and this is just clipped off his pads by Chandimal. They'll take a comfortable single to mid-wicket. It'll bring Kusal Mendes, who's
and here it is.
Really seems to have some intent about him today.
The most effectual top cat, who's intellectual, close friends get to deceive.
Yep. Providing it's with dignity is actually the words. Well, it took me a while to realise that as a kid. I never quite knew what they were singing. That's not a great ball. In fact, it's a full toss, but it's misjudged, probably because it's a slightly slower ball by Mendes, and he loops it just short of mid-on. But he was deceived by the fact it was a slower full toss.
Fielded rather aggressively by the seething Ben Stokes.
I think he'd do everything aggressively at the moment.
Yeah.
If you're having lunch with him, you say, Ben, would you pass the salt? Yeah.
He makes a cup of tea.
Just best give him a wide berth, I reckon. In comes Tom Curran. That's a much better ball on off stump, but they take a very well taken single as it was pushed away to mid off. 255 for 2. Current run rate just under 7 and over, but crucially, Taz, they got wickets in the hutch. And wickets in the hutch as you approach the last 13 overs is a pretty good place to be, I reckon.
I think they'll be feeling good. It just depends what they can do with the rest of their batsmen. Where England probably benefits is the depth of their batting order as well as the strength up top.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And that's England you always feel there's well, I was about to say that's a fantastic wasn't
catch.
It? Guys, I feel, in case you're wondering, we're just watching a replay of that huge six beautifully put over Stokes' head, but there's either a member of the press or the ground staff, he has a accreditation thing around his neck.
Looks like Malinga's brother.
He does look a bit like Malinga's brother, but without as much hair dye. He has a similar portliness of stature, but
rotundness in the abdominal area.
Also, he's wobbling his way backwards over the covers, which of course are always standing ready.
And he kissed the ball.
And he kissed the ball afterwards. In comes Curran, Tom Curran. This is lofted away over mid-wicket. I'm pretty sure that's gone all the way. Yes, it has. 6 more.
Six.
50 as well. And not only that, it brings up Mendes's 50. So they're now both on 53. Mendes has got there off 30 balls. Chandimal's on his 53 off 52. So you have a very nice symmetry between the two batsmen. One suspect that's only temporary because Mendes is going pretty much at double the speed of Chandimal.
Perfect ODI little session this for these two, isn't it?
Well, these two, yeah, and they're thoroughly enjoying themselves. They're hugging one another at Kusal Mendes' 50. In comes Curran. Again, that's a full toss, looking for the Yorker, perhaps pushed away too long on. They'll take a single. So that's 1250, I think, from Kusal Mendes in his ODI career.
And a 100 partnership.
And the 100 partnership is up from just 75 balls. We've completed the 38th over, 268 for 2. A well-earned drink for Kusal Mendes.
Any tweets?
We have a conversation going on about Jeffrey Boycott,
Oh,
which
right.
God knows where it started. But where we're at right now is from Forever Dormo. Watching Jeffrey Boycott batting was to be as sweet as a nut, as any proud Yorkshireman would tell you.
Yes, yes.
Well, it wasn't often the most exciting thing to watch, really.
Well, one of my favourite Jeffrey Boycott, I'm sure I've used it before a couple of times. He was being asked, I think it was another commentator who doesn't work for this channel, did say to him, you must have put a few people to sleep in your time, Jeffrey. And he replied, aye, but they were still I was still batting when they woke up.
Yeah.
268 for 2. We are now, I'm pretty sure we are going to see Liam Plunkett back into the attack.
Do you think?
Let's hope so. We got it completely wrong last time.
Plunkett.
Down for 28. Off 3 so far. A little skip and a jump, and he's into his run-up. And he's just practicing his run-up because Mendes just backed away. Or maybe Mendes wasn't ready, and that was actually just a practice jog by Liam Plunkett. I think the next one will be for real.
Not a massive crowd, but a few.
It's filling up, isn't it?
In, yeah.
And it has tended to do that this series, I've noticed. We've looked around and we've gone, oh, this is rather disappointing. But during the course of the day, they seem to drift in. Mendes is ready. Plunkett is short and wide of the off stump, and that is just beautifully stroked away backward of the point. But this time, the man at the deep cover boundary is able to just tidy up. That man is Joe Denley, who's getting a little bit of a run out, at least as a fielder.
And it was these.
I don't think it went before, did it? Did it
No,
go?
he saved the boundary,
I think he saved the boundary, Nestlers. Just hold your horses a second. Denley dives,
sorry.
brings it back in,
I take it back.
and yep,
Good save.
it was a terrific stop actually. Oh, hang on though. Denley then suddenly saw that the ball was escaping from him. But yeah, no, he comfortably got there, Nestlers.
It were always raining on Denley Moor. Even when it weren't raining, it were overcast.
Plunkett is in, and this is hoiked into the leg side by Mendes. Has he got enough on it this time? He hasn't. It's gone to, well, would you believe it? It's dropped, plopped into Ben Stokes' hands. Ben Stokes just, well, seems to
Was
actually,
that
for a moment, he's got a
a
smile on
smile?
his face. A brief smile.
An aggressive
A
smile.
resigned smile, yeah.
And he's gone.
Mendes, yeah. You did sense that he just didn't get hold of that. It was the bat, I think, seemed to slightly turn in his hand.
I just imagine if Ben Stokes had dropped that.
Stokes at deep mid wicket just waited and waited, and he never actually looked like dropping it. Had he, Nestle, as you
Yes.
said, dropped it, I just dread to think the response and the reaction. But it was he's got pretty safe hands by and large as Stokes,
Yes.
and he dealt with it very nicely indeed.
Kelly Wheeler, Stokes would kill for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, I see what she did there, or he did there. But either way, it was, yeah. He's got. I don't know is it necessarily anger issues, but you always sense that.
you really?
You always sense that it doesn't take an awful lot to light his fuse, does it?
Well, that's the thing about aggression in sports, right? Is that there's arguments to be made that it has some benefits. It G's you up a little bit in the field. It pushes you. It drives you. But
Yeah.
how far is too far? How much aggression is reaching that tipping point where it becomes a negative?
Well, I agree. I mean, and I think we're in a generation now of like what I think football. You know, there used to be a whole generation of footballers whose anger was what drove them, and now I think that increasingly they get less and less.
There's a new man at the crease.
There is indeed. It's Shanaka, Dasan Shanaka. 18 matches, 307 runs. 2 50s to his name and a best
Came
of
here from
66.
Sri Lanka as an all-round devotee. He bowled okay, but with the bat he averaged less than 3. Dasan Shanaka, we'll have to wait and see if he's good enough to play internationally.
Superb,
Shanaka.
lovely jingle. Well, he's not going to be on strike for a moment because the batsman crossed as Kuson Mendes had holed out to Ben Stokes. So Plunkett has made a breakthrough. This one is wide of the off stump. It is clubbed to cover. They will jog, they will gallop actually, not jog, they galloped a single. So Shanaka now will come on to strike. We'll just have a quick look again at... you got to hand it to Ben Stokes though. Boiling away and one step away from an anger breakdown or whatever that is. He's having his shunting away, having taken the gap. But in the actual moment of judging it, he was cool as a cucumber. That's a good ball on a full length from Plunkett. Brand new batsman in Shanaka, and Dasan Shanaka, and Plunkett just slightly slow his pace there. And I think the theory was at least make him play it, which Shanaka duly did. But didn't give him a lot of room to get himself off the mark. So they'll want now to put some pressure on the new batsman. Chandimal, of course, is very well set. Plunkett is in again. This one is short and wide, and Shanaka should get off the mark that time. Moeen Ali, I think it was, at backward point. And he's diving away to his left. They didn't take a single. Well, that surprises me because it was a bit of a misfield by Ali.
Arthur Shearer, could the hesitance of the Sri Lankan crowd be due to the fact that as locals they're well aware that it's going to absolutely piss it down?
Yeah, well, this whole series has been governed by the timing of when the rain's going to come. In comes Plunkett, right arm over, nicely worked off his legs by Shanaka. He will get himself off the mark this time. The tick-tock ticking Ben Stokes is down there at mid-wicket, and then Shanaka will get a single though. To 72 for 3.
For those who are listening in the green room, it is a time soon for a change.
It should be. I think I've done. I always feel that once you've moved chairs, once you move from one chair to another, therefore you know you've done 2 in a row.
Yeah.
That's normally time for the man with a big crook to hook you out.
Like me, if your arse is asleep, you know that you've sat in the same chair for 2 sessions.
Yes. How do you know your arse is asleep?
Because I can feel it.
Well, we'll leave you to do that. No one else is going to. 72
Well, I wouldn't
for 3.
feel it if they did.
Messy Jazz. Stokes has pretty safe hands, really. There are those in Bristol who might have an alternative point of view.
Whoa, very good, Messrs. You're absolutely right. Indeed. Anyway, it's going to be Tom Curran, and he's going to be bowling to Dasan Shanaka. It's going to be the 40th over, so at the conclusion of this over, we'll be entering the last 10. Sri Lanka at the moment have 7 wickets in hand and a pretty good score on the board. Taz, you were talking about 360 being on the cards. I think it still is. In comes Curran. That's on leg stump. It's pushed